Welcome to the Success Sensei podcast for anyone interested in success, happiness, and balance. We'll teach you how to be a black belt at life. And now, your host, former professional fighter, multiple world champion, entrepreneur, and investor, Robert Devane.
Bowing in, this is Roundhouse Rob, the Success Sensei, helping you to win at life one kick and punch at a time. Episode 254. Declutter Your Life. Welcome to the main event.
It's the Success Sensei podcast main event.
Declutter your life. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes you do have to reduce to go forward. You do have to eliminate to gain more. I'm talking about, your environment, your mind, your body, your time, your expenses. Decluttering, it's not just a physical thing. It can be a mental thing. It can be an emotional thing. So there's a lot of crossovers in this episode. So you just relate it to your life, as to what we're going to be talking about. I'm not trying to convert you to minimalism. I'm not a minimalist. I understand the principles and I respect the principles, and some of them are very good, but I still like to have some stuff, and I still like to have the confidence of knowing I have stuff should I need stuff. And basically, I suppose, keep as much as you think you could use, as long as you have the ability to store it properly, and that it doesn't take away from the quality of your life, but in fact it improves or enhances the quality of life. We all need to periodically spring clean. Now, I know it's called spring clean, but it doesn't have to be in spring. I think now is the perfect time. We're technically in summer now. I think now is the perfect time. Everything's a little bit warmer. The sun is coming out. You probably see the dust and the clutter a little bit easier with the sunshine and with the longer days and the longer evenings. So I think now is a perfect time to do a spring clean, to spring clean your life. Now remember, we're not just talking about your environment, although that is really, really important, because a happy environment is a happy mind, is a more productive body and mind. But there's lots of things that you can do to spring clean. I mean, you can, if we are talking about the physical realm, you can sell off your stuff, so you can actually make a profit from the stuff that you don't need anymore. You can recycle it. It's never been as easy to recycle as it is now. You can reuse or repurpose your items yourself, or realize that you even have them in the first place. If you're like me and you have boxes, or you have stuff put away, you don't even realize what you do have unless you go through it. Obviously you can dump and just eliminate the rubbish and the clutter legally, of course. No fly tipping, please. But there is a thing, hoarding versus hoarding versus actually keeping things you think you might use. That there is a difference between the two, and there is a balance that we all have to get right in our life. And I think it's very easy for people who are involved in trades, or people who are DIY orientated. It's extremely easy to amass things that you think you may use in the future, and then suddenly it crosses over into being, hoarding. And I guess it's the fear of missing out. There is actual pain involved in getting rid of something that in the future you realize you could have used, and you sense a loss for having gotten rid of it. But also the other side of that coin is storing something that was a waste of space, that didn't make sense, that you attached yourself to and you stored it. I'll give you a quick example. I stored an old sofa thinking I may reuse or repurpose it again, and I stored it in a shed, and it took up space for the past year. Meanwhile, due to having a large garden, I do have a ride-on mower which I covered and left outside, and as a result of storing the sofa that I didn't eventually need and I've eventually gotten rid of, I've had to replace a solenoid and a new starter on the ride-on mower. And basically, it's cost me money because I left it outside undercover. So I stored stuff that wasn't important and I left something that was important. out of storage. So priorities and realizing what you have and what you need and what you don't need. And realizing what exactly is there in the first place. So your environment, by the way, makes you happy, makes you confident, and ultimately it makes you more successful. You know, everything has its place without being neurotic. It's nice when you know where things are, when you can put your hand on something, where everything is. A clean house, a clean working environment, you know, clean vehicle. So when your house is clean, you just feel better about life. When your working environment is clean, you just feel... Now, there's obviously exceptions, but even in a chaotic working environments, it's nice for things to have order and for you to know where things are. If you were going to sell your vehicle in the morning, you would absolutely give it a good clean inside and out. You'd valet it and detail it yourself. You'd polish it, you'd do whatever you had to do, you'd wax it, you'd clean it, you'd give it a good hoover. It's very often when we go through that process that we fall in love with our vehicle again, and then we ultimately don't want to sell it because we remember why we bought it in the first place. So just keeping it in that kind of a condition just makes life easier, makes your trips quicker, improves your mood, it just makes you more productive. When one of the reasons why we like to go on vacations or stay, you know, in hotel rooms is that we know when we walk into a hotel room, well, what we expect is that it's like it was brand new. It was like we were the first guest to ever stay there. That's the expectation that we have. So, I mean, we can certainly have higher standards within our own working space and our own environment that gives us that same feeling, that same enjoyment, the same confidence of knowing we're walking into something that's not cluttered. We expect it everywhere else. We expect it in the businesses that we do business with, and the businesses that we visit. We expect that they're not going to be full of clutter. So it's important that you do it. You love yourself. Do it for yourself as well. Don't just expect other people in their environments to do it for you as well. And your life will ultimately, as I said, unless you cross over the path to neurosis, your life ultimately will be more productive, will be happier, will be confident. Now, we talked a lot about the physical environment there, but, you know, you can declutter your body of unnecessary weight. You can, declutter your diet and not consume unnecessary foods or unnecessary calories. Have a think about that one. You can absolutely declutter your mind. Refocus yourself. Throw away all the things that are distracting. It's up to you to decide what they are, but you can do it. And it's something that, again, on a periodic basis, on a frequent basis, whether once every quarter, once every 6 months, definitely yearly, you should have a look at your what you're putting into your mind and the things that you're spending your time on. So that's another one. Declutter your time. If you're wasting time, or you're wasting space in your brain, or you're too fond of entertainment as in comparison to education, it's definitely something to look at depending on what your goals are for the future. Declutter your finances by way of decluttering your expenses. Unnecessary expenses are unnecessary. So absolutely have a look at those, and have a look at those on a regular basis. You may even need to declutter your friends, to look at the relationships in your life, to discard the ones that aren't good for you. And it goes two ways, if it's not all about, what you can gain from somebody, but if you're not bringing something yourself to a relationship, then, it's not just about, them bringing something to you. But if you're not contributing to a relationship and you think that you might have to declutter yourself from that relationship as well. It's important to spend the time and spend the mind space and spend the emotional space and give priority to people that help you, fulfill your life, your happiness levels, and that and vice versa, you do the same for them as well. So they're all areas that all of us have to think about on a regular basis if we're going to maximize our mental health, our physical health, our confidence, and just all around success. It's very important to declutter your environment, declutter your mind, declutter your relationships, declutter your time, declutter your finances, and especially your environment. And just start with your environment and see where you go from there. But there's no point in not addressing it. There's no point in not consciously thinking about these things. There's no point in saying that, you're too busy to declutter your life, because, it doesn't make sense. It's like the lumberjack who doesn't sharpen his axe. You're going to be there a long time chopping away at that tree. Just take the time, sharpen the axe first, and then you're going to be a hell of a lot quicker and more productive and happier and confident and more fulfilled and ultimately more productive and more successful. So it's the same in your life. You need to actually take that time out to declutter your life in order to move forward. As I said at the very start, sometimes to get more, you do have to reduce first to make the space for more, for the things that you actually want. As I said, I'm not trying to turn you into a minimalist, but I want to make sure that everything that you have in your life is something of value to you. There's no point in cluttering your life with things that aren't valuable to you. Sometimes you do have to reduce to go forward. Sometimes you have to eliminate things in order to be able to gain the things that you do want to have. Have a think about it. Have a think about it, how it relates to your life, and the very best wishes with decluttering and spring cleaning. Thank you for listening. I'm Roundhouse Rob, the Success Sensei. Life is a fight you can enjoy and win. Bowing out.
This has been the Success Sensei, fighting the winning fight. So add us, subscribe, like, and comment. Keep those hands up and keep moving forward.